Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're looking at the final section of our quarter two reflection survey, and this one is all about ranking your growth in your core classes. This one might be the most difficult part of the review, simply because there's going to be a lot of things you need to take into consideration. But the one thing you got to keep in mind as you're reflecting on all four of your core classes and which one you feel you've grown the most is this idea of before and after. Where did we start and where are we at now? And when thinking about growth, we need to think about positive change. So, where do we feel that you've had the most positive change and growth as a student in each of your four classes? Now, just because you don't have growth in a class doesn't mean that's a bad thing necessarily. You can have a class where from day one to day now, you haven't really grown because maybe you've been really successful with the content. Maybe you connect with the teacher the most. Maybe you feel like what's going on in class is really manageable for you, and you really haven't had to grow as a student because you're managing it really well and that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. On the flip side, just because you didn't grow in a class isn't a bad thing either. We're always trying to get a little bit better each day with managing our classes, understanding the material, that sort of thing. So remember, we're thinking about where have we had the most positive change for your core classes. So things you can use to help you consider this. Number one, where have your personal interests lie with each of these groups? Have they improved over time? Have you gotten more interested in what you're learning? Do you feel more successful in these classes from the time that you started to the time that we've ended now, quarter two? Grades are obviously a good indicator. Maybe you look at your quarter one grades in the class versus quarter two now. But you also need to think about like where have you started in terms of maybe your understanding. Did you have a class where you were confused a lot when you first started and now you feel like you're less confused and you're more confident in what you're learning? And where do you feel you've taken more control over time and put in more work just to get better in that class? So notice a lot going on there, thinking about that positive change. Where have you had the most positive change from the start of the year to now? If you have questions, reach out. Otherwise, thanks again.